Welcome to the Gabe and Shey Podcast, or welcome back to the Gabe and Shey Podcast. I'm Shey.
And I'm Gabe. And today we're going to be talking about something that never happens to me, frustration. Yeah, but not just frustration. Not just frustration, but we're going to talk about frustration today in today's episode because, you know, we're couples and we get frustrated. And
like we are multiple couples?
No, now it's just getting weird. No, but we get frustrated and sometimes it's the simplest things and sometimes it's major things. And how do you get frustrated? What is the source of frustration, my lovely wife?
Well, right. So are we asking to define the parameters of expectation versus frustration?
Yeah, but I did give you the opportunity to say you. You didn't. And so I don't know if that makes you the best wife or the worst wife. I didn't
know what? You are perfect. And I am never frustrated because of you. Yeah. It's always because of me. And the source of my frustration is usually me thinking something's going to be a specific way, whether I realize I'm thinking that or not, and then it not being that way.
Yeah. So the mother or father of frustration is expectation. Mm-hmm. And if you can go back and think of any time that you were frustrated, we want to know if it was not because of an expectation that you had. Right. Because we did our due diligence of trying as hard as we could to think of something that we were frustrated at based on not an expectation. So if you've got something, I would love for you to share that with us. But in the meantime, we're going to just talk about that. So.
Yeah. Well, for an example, so for all of you fans out there, there's an episode where I think it's Joey and Phoebe are talking about that you cannot.
Oh, the show Friends.
Friends. Yeah. There's no such thing as a good deed that is not also on some level making you feel good.
Oh, sure.
And so they spend the entire episode trying to out good deed each other as selflessly as possible. But the more good deed you do, the more fulfilling it is. Yeah.
100%.
And so like today I was sitting here like, okay, the dishwasher isn't working right. I'm frustrated. Oh, right. Because I expect the dishwasher to work properly.
Oh, don't get me started on the expectations of technology, but we'll get into that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I legitimately sat there for, I don't know, probably far too long thinking of all these different scenarios. Like, I know I'm going to come up with a frustration that has nothing to do with an expectation. And every time I came up with one, I was like, oh, nope, that's because I thought it was going to go this way. And like, I really had to dig deep and I'm still...
What about getting frustrated at like somebody cutting you off in traffic? What about that?
What about it? I mean,
what's the expectation?
Yeah, you had an expectation that the road belongs to you, that it was going to be a perfect drive to work or whatever, that everybody was going to mind their manners, you know, and somehow somebody didn't, or maybe you didn't, but didn't realize it. And yeah, you got frustrated because you had an expectation of your drive going a certain way that it didn't go. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I'm trying to highlight that how powerful expectation is. And so instead of trying to control whether or not you get frustrated, how do you control what you expect? What is some type of advantage? Because, you know, we're all about what can we take control of? Okay. And if we do have control, how do we control it? And that's kind of a very big theme with us. And we always want to figure that out. We don't want to allow ourselves to blame anything else for why we're feeling a certain way if we've got control over it in some capacity. And so in this case, if it is frustration, how do we control the expectation side? What are your thoughts on that?
Gosh, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Actually. How do we control the expectation side of it? Lower our standards.
I'm going to say something to that. No, but honest to God, that is 100% accurate. If you do lower your standards on something, you will expect less. That is a truth. I'm not saying you should lower your standards. However, that is a truth. But there are other ways that you can turn this into positive things. But let's go back to expectation.
Well, honestly, I feel like I don't know that changing an expectation, so to speak, is the way to go, but perhaps.
Oh, like the opposite of an expectation. So if like you were expecting it to go one way and instead being like, no, I'm going to expect this to suck, or I'm going to expect this to go great, whatever the opposite is.
No, but more like rather training yourself to, I mean, we're going to have expectations, right? They're so ingrained in us, I think, in some respects, that I don't know if completely eliminating expectations is a realistic goal. Gosh, that sounds so like a limiting belief, right? But
well, you did say ingrained, and I do want to touch on that, but go ahead.
But perhaps training ourselves on how we react to the expectation instead of letting it feed into frustration.
Everybody get that? Train yourself how to react. Wait a minute, my lovely bride. Are you saying that that's something you can do?
Not me.
Oh,
but other people can.
Lower your standards, everyone. Lower those standards.
I don't like being frustrated. Okay. So I have no expectations.
I don't know. I think some of us might love being frustrated and not in the moment, but why do we keep doing it? Right? There's something that we're getting from it. Maybe it's attention. Maybe when we get frustrated behaviorally in front of other people, maybe we're getting attention. And so that's what we're actually addicted to. There's a lot to unpack there, but I don't want to really go into that. But training yourself how to react, how would you do something like that?
Learn.
I'm just going to go ahead and write that down in case I forget.
Okay.
Learn. All right, there we go.
I think first of all, being aware of your own state of mind.
Self-awareness. Let's go. Number one. And what if someone else points out your state of mind?
Kick them in the face.
It kind of goes that way sometimes though, doesn't it? Because if you're not aware of something that you're doing, we tend to not like it when other people bring it to our attention, because it humiliates us, or it can humiliate us. It make us feel less than, make us feel irresponsible. And I keep using that word make us, and actually we're choosing the feeling. And if you don't think you choose your feelings, you do in a capacity. If you don't, your subconscious does, which means if you can control your subconscious, you can control the reactions of your feelings.
All right.
So, but you got to go to work on your subconscious. We've got plenty of stuff in the other places that you could talk or go back and learn how to do some of that. But back to training how to react and ingrained. What did you mean by ingrained? You said a lot of these expectations are ingrained. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, to me, ingrained just means that we learned them at some point and we have allowed it to be an automated something, an automated thought, an automated feeling, an automated whatever. And so, oh gosh, I'm trying to.
Like a habit?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I didn't know that's where you were going.
Well, it actually wasn't where I was going, but yes, you said it way better than whatever I was going to say.
Were you trying to come up with like the scientific version of whatever?
No, I was trying to come up with an example, like a specific example, because I'm one of those people where
what about the dishwasher? I think that's a great example, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, expecting like a piece of equipment that we have to work properly, right? The dishwasher. And for you guys out there, our dishwasher currently is kind of acting a little funky. And so, the first time I realized it wasn't working properly, I was like, wait a second, and I took the dishes out because I was like, okay, maybe the light just didn't change color like it was supposed to. And I took the dishes out and they were like soapy still, right? So then I was frustrated. Okay, great. Now I'm going to start the cycle over again. It happened again, whatever. So, but yes, it's that we don't even realize that we have that expectation of that situation or that item or that other person. We don't even realize that we expected a conversation to go a certain way.
Right.
And then it didn't. And we're all pissed off, but we don't know why we're pissed off, and so.
I didn't even know that we had a dishwasher.
That's because of our house is filled with magical furniture.
Our house is magical. Anytime I put clothes down, it disappears. I tried to show her, and I left clothes like on the couch, and they just literally disappeared.
Yeah.
And
not only did they disappear, but they showed up back in your closet, hung up.
It was absolutely amazing. And then I actually put, like my dirty dishes, I'll put them on the counter, and the next day they're literally up in the cupboard, completely clean.
Yeah.
And dried. It's
never witnessed this for myself, but
magic. Absolute magic.
The magic
I tried
only
to prove it to her.
you.
It only happens for me. It's such a wonderful, wonderful thing.
So yeah,
but no, the expectation of technology. So technology is a great example here of, we find ourselves getting frustrated. We've got a phone. We expect a phone to make a phone call. So if you're in an area where there is limited reliability on the tower stuff, you get upset. Okay. It's almost automation. You'll start to get frustrated because you can't make a call, especially if it's an emergency, So how do you get in front of something like that? How do you get in front of all technology and be like, listen, the more I depend on this, the more I am allowing myself to become frustrated, and the more I'm allowing myself to become frustrated around other people, because frustration typically isn't internal. It's very external. We can all read it when people are frustrated. Even when they're trying to hide it, we can still see it in their body language. And so what do we do? What can we do to get in front of frustration, or specifically expectation? What are some options?
Become self-aware.
Self-aware.
So yeah, be aware of the fact that you even have an expectation of a certain circumstance.
Oh, I like it.
And then find ways to train yourself to react in a more appropriate way.
What would a more appropriate way be like for you personally?
Probably like stomping and throwing, a tantrum and walking out of the room.
I like that. Throwing punches.
Yeah.
Kicking the dog.
Maybe, no. Maybe taking a deep breath.
What about yelling
processing?
At each other?
No.
Sorry to interrupt you guys.
I thought we were being serious now, because I'm done being silly. So
forgive me. I had an expectation. It was weird.
No, I think really just being able to take that break for a minute, right? Even if you're still sitting across from each other, say you're having a conversation, you frustrated, just being able to take a deep breath. Okay, let me gather my thoughts for a minute here. Let me close my eyes and regather whatever it was that I wanted to say, or being able to listen to the other person and what they wanted to say. I don't know. Is that what you're kind of getting at there?
No, I think so. I don't think there's any wrong answer to this. I do want to share one of the ways that I handle myself. And I do need to say that frustration for me, I think personally, I don't think frustration should go anywhere. I think frustration is a normal part of life. And what I mean by that is, but here's the thing. To me, it's okay to get frustrated. It's just not okay to step on other people because of your frustration. Right. So in other words, don't behave yourself into a situation where you're going to make enemies or you're going to hurt the people around you, because that is you needing attention and not caring about the world. It's very, very self-serving.
Yeah. Don't use it as an excuse for bad behavior.
Right. And so with frustration, I think that there is an appropriate place for frustration. I think that it should exist in your life. That being said, if you have frustration, then I think instead of making a goal not to have frustration, instead make it a goal of make sure that your frustration is short-lived. Have a plan for frustration rather than a plan to not ever expect things. Because quite frankly, I can't control, I said the word I can't. I am not in complete control of all of my expectations at one moment. The amount of expectations each one of us has inside of us right now is mind-numbing number. It's a number that I probably couldn't even express. Honest. And so for me to be able to control each one of them in this moment, I personally think that might be impossible. It's probably impossible. However, What I can control is rewriting my subconscious, rewriting my script so that I have different reactions when certain things happen. But I still probably won't be able to cover all of them, right? And again, that's okay. So I need to make sure that I've got a plan for when I get frustrated. And right now, you kind of went into it a little bit with you. What is, when you get frustrated, what is your plan, or what is your current script say? What is your current program?
I mean, it depends on the situation. With something that is an inanimate object, I'm more likely to just be like,
destroy it.
No, no, that's how I feel about you and I
has
sometimes.
No emotions. It won't care.
Right.
It has no emotions. Just beat it with a bat.
No, with the inanimate objects, I am more likely to just be like, okay, I'm going to call somebody else who knows more about this because this is beyond my knowledge, right?
I like it.
So not exactly throwing up my arms and walking away, but just accepting like, okay, I'm frustrated, but I can't do anything about this at this moment.
Okay.
Other than make a phone call.
So things you can control. Got it.
Yep. Now, if it's frustration with another human being, say you and I are having a conversation,
baseball bat,
and I'm getting frustrated. we have two, you know.
Yeah. I had two knees too.
Mm-hmm. Say I'm getting frustrated at our conversation, right? I could easily think to myself, well, you're just being an idiot and that's why I'm frustrated. No, I'm frustrated because I thought that this conversation was going to go in a specific way, right?
Yeah.
No matter how deep that level is or isn't, right? I just had an expectation of being heard, being understood, being asked a question, like whatever that expectation was, and it's not going that way. So then in the case of you and I, or maybe with another human being, I might say, hey, I need a minute, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, just kind of
stomp away.
Yeah. That's my favorite way to do things.
Stomp away and punch things on the way out.
Yeah. Slam as many doors as I can.
As many doors. Yes.
Open the ones that are closed just so I can slam them again.
Yeah. And just in case you don't hear somebody making a noise, you're like, you do it again just to try to get a reaction. I think that's appropriate. I think if you were to take a moment for yourself and just be like, apparently I'm not in control at the moment and I need a minute to regain control. Really, that's what you mean to say, even if it comes out as, I need an effing minute because you're being an a-hole, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
blah. Really what you're trying to say is I'm out of control and I need a minute to get into control. And, you know, it would help if the other person on the other side didn't hear all the slurs and name calling and things like that, because then they could probably get on board with your request. But maybe not, though. If you are fueling that fire, that's the part that doesn't. But what she's saying is important, I think, is take a minute, regain control. Because frustration, the number one thing that frustration causes is chaos. And it causes chaos. It causes you to lose complete control over your immediate surroundings. Now, how long that happens, I think, depends on your emotional maturity. So if it lasts for 3
Or the
days,
other person's emotional maturity.
Oh, for sure. Well, in the end, it is really yours, right? But, you know, again, I go back to that road rage incident where you get frustrated at someone else. You think it's someone else, right? But really, you're just frustrated because your expectation didn't line up to what you thought it was going to. And so, but we blame the other person because of that. It's not our fault, of course. You know, it's definitely their fault for not living up to my expectation. And I don't even know them. It's crazy to me, but a lot of people have it as a subconscious thing. So it's not like they do it on purpose. They're not like out to get anybody. It's just their general reaction to being frustrated in a car is, damn it, blah, blah, blah. And then their immediately second reaction is to blame something outside of them.
Yeah.
Blame something outside of them. You want to talk about a victim mentality? Start blaming everything around you. Now you're not in control. You're the victim. That's not how I want to operate. And I would hope that most people don't want to operate that way. It's a horrible, horrible, stressful place to live. So, she talked about taking a minute. I think that's brilliant. One of the things that you could do the other thing you brought up was training how to react. So take a minute, right? And you do, honestly, you had to train to do that, right?
Yeah.
That didn't come naturally.
No way.
Especially if you've got parents and grandparents and preachers and adults, teachers in your
siblings,
life, and siblings, and all of them go off the deep end when something small happens. You start to see that. You start to think to yourself, well, it's okay. That type of behavior is okay. And that becomes a belief that you take into
not that it's
life.
okay, but that's how you're supposed to handle it.
Ooh, even better.
If you have a parent or somebody who, every time they're mad, they do go slam doors or they punch a wall or something. As a child, you think that that's the appropriate way to react as an adult. Then you go out in the world and maybe you see that other adults don't act that way, but maybe they act in other inappropriate ways.
Oh, there's tons of adults that act that way.
So then you think, oh, well, that's the way I should act when I'm mad or frustrated or whatever. And so I think a lot of times we don't even know that we have the option to learn something better.
Nailed it. If you grow up and you get let's say you get a job with a good company, a really good company, not a company that accepts whining and things like that. A company that you go into and you find out they do bring you on, and you find out that they are just exceptional people. They love to love. They accept their responsibility for things. They take ownership of things. They're accountable to their actions. And you're not necessarily there yet, but you realize how absolutely immediately you respect these people. Immediately. They don't have to earn
You
your
don't
respect.
even know why you respect them, but you're seeing something subconsciously
inside of you that says, I want to be like them. I want to be able to own that. I want to be able to lead myself. I wish I could do that. So you automatically start respecting these people, where maybe in your home life, you really didn't have that. You didn't have a ton of people that knew how to handle that kind of stuff. And you get the typical stuff, though. You'll get the don't hit people when you get mad. Even in kindergarten, they're like, stop punching, stop hitting kids.
Right.
You get trained on that pretty early, that physical violence. But if you still have parents that are physically violent, you're going to probably take that into your adult life and not mean to. It's just going to be a natural thing. But if that's something you freaking do, change it. Instead of being like, I can't change. Yeah. Just figure out how to change it.
This is what I was taught when I was growing up.
Yeah. My dad does it. I could do it too. My mom does it. I could do it too. Yeah. It's a sad state. So training how to react. So, I brought this up a little bit before. We talked about it before as one of the methods that I don't think I created this method by any means. All I did was kind of put it together and analyze, with my life, how I used it in my life. And one of them was, there's 4 steps to growth, to emotional growth, in my opinion. And I did talk about this in another episode. I don't remember which episode it was. However, I'm just going to list them off. Level 1 of emotional maturity to me is resistance. It's the childlike way of viewing the world. If something doesn't go your way, expectation, then you just get mad and that's it. And the world needs to deal with it. Okay. World needs to deal with it because you're resisting the truth of the situation. If the dishwasher doesn't work, you are allowed to get mad. You're allowed to punch things. You're allowed to behave erratically, smash dishes. And all those things. And that level is called resistance. You're resisting the truth of things. Okay. Then as you gain an emotional intelligence or maturity, you learn another step. And this step is called acceptance. So now when something doesn't go your way, you just literally accept it. It doesn't affect you at all. And just to give you an example, I used to get pissed off at people on the road. Okay. I know I could keep going to the road rage thing, but it's something I beat. And so, but today, and Shey could attest to, I think you can attest to this. When people cut me off or be stupid, it doesn't faze me at all. Not anything. Even if a semi tries to run me off the road, I move and then I move back. Okay. It's not because I'm superhuman. None of these BS like this. It's because I've graduated in emotional maturity to acceptance. So now I'm able to accept these things. This happens. And I don't know. I don't think I was ever really like a super mad person. A friend of mine once said to me a long time ago, he's like, man, I've never seen you get mad. And mad doesn't help anything. I learned that a long time ago.
Sorry.
Apparently I'm boring her.
No.
Anyways, no, acceptance is the second thing. Okay. And then of course you go to gratitude and then honor are the next two levels. But how do we get from resistance to acceptance? Because I really think that, for most people out there, that's going to be the most major and profound change for them, behavioral change. What are some of your thoughts, Shey? I mean, I know how I did it, but what are some of your takeaways on how to do that?
Well, gosh, I just don't know. I haven't reached that level.
You have reached that level. I know you've reached that level, but
rephrase the question.
Sure. So how would somebody, if you were to give somebody advice on how not to resist something and instead to accept it, but you wouldn't want to say, hey, listen, just don't resist, accept it, because that's the dumbest thing to say. How do you say, this is what the training that you need in order to get to this level is this? What does that look like? And what does it look like for you when, because I think you're at the acceptance level for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of reading. It's taken a lot of reading, a lot of learning,
But learning's hard though.
A lot of learning.
I know, right?
Honestly, I'm kind of at a loss other than learning. It really, and practice. Learning and practice.
So learning and reps.
Yeah. I mean, because I guess if you think about it, I get frustrated pretty often, but usually it's a fleeting second. It doesn't. And because it would be a fleeting second, like I'm not even recognizing it as being frustration, right? I'm not even aware that I'm frustrated for that fleeting second. But I mean, we still have it in us, right? Even though I've learned a better way to deal with these things, and even though I do put them into practice, I know I still feel frustrated a lot.
Sure.
But I've maybe reframed that emotion in my head.
Yeah, no, I think I can agree that I also am in resistance quite a bit. And for me, what I think it is, and by the way, I've graduated to gratitude in some of the most traumatic experiences that we've had. However, it's important to note that I'm still in resistance on a lot of levels. Mm-hmm. And I think one of those levels is our personal relationship. I think that there is a lot more resistance there. Like I am more emotionally mature than I used to be by far. I know.
Yeah, than you used to be. It's a good thing you didn't say more than me, because that's not true.
I did not say that. However, but the resistance part, I think I still, there are expectations I have of you that are beyond expectations that I would have of somebody that I don't know.
Yep.
Right. And I think vice versa too. I think you've got expectations of me beyond somebody that doesn't know you.
Well,
right?
And I've got expectations of you that go beyond even some of my closest friends and family.
Of course.
But because of the nature of our relationship.
Right.
So
that's something that even today we're still working on. And the good news is that if you were to go back to our life 10 years ago, right?
It was great, but it's so much greater now.
All of our frustration lasted days and days and days, and in some cases even longer. And today it is not like that. Today we actually get to experience incredibly fast recovery, even on some of the most difficult resistances. So that recovery part is getting to acceptance a lot sooner than we used to. Mm-hmm. So wherever you are in emotional maturity, analyze, at least start externally. For her and I, this is our circle of influence. This is where we're the closest. This is the most important things to us is me, and accept you. Mm-hmm. And it's very much easier to accept things way outside of you, like your work, like the government, like politics. Those things are so easy to accept for me, mm-hmm. right? Because I have no direct influence on any of it.
Can I interject for a second? Because I think what you just said is accept me for me. And
like me?
You said as human beings, we say to each other, accept me for me.
Or I should say, accept my behavior in the moment.
Right. And I think that the accept me for me comes with the caveat.
Yeah.
That
it does.
I'm attempting to make this current frustration better. I'm not attempting to stay in this space of frustration and expectation. I'm attempting, accept me for who I am right now, but with the caveat that I am also trying to improve upon that.
Yes.
I'm also trying to get better.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I think so often in our culture right now, it's, you need to like me for who I am right now. You need to like
I don't
me.
need to change.
Yeah. I don't need to change. I'm fine the way I am.
And that's true. It is true.
Yep.
However, you're going to continue to get the results that you've been getting. So it is true and it is okay.
Yep.
Just don't expect different results.
And it's funny that you bring it into that, because then I was also kind of thinking that frustration is an excellent fuel for positive change.
Oh,
so if you are frustrated,
it's negative change, but that's okay.
No, I'm saying if you are,
fuel,
it doesn't have to be though. If you are frustrated with your marriage, then do something about yourself to change it for the better. If you're frustrated with your job, do something about it.
About yourself.
In a positive way, right? Don't go and blow up the building, but figure out what about yourself you need to work on and change that for the better, you know?
Sorry, my brain just went to the Office space where he's like, have you seen my stapler? Have you seen my stapler? I'm going to burn this place to the ground. It's just too much.
Okay.
Too much.
Yeah. So frustration is an excellent fuel for improving your life, because listen, we're never going to change until it hurts too much to stay the same.
Yeah, I believe that there are people out there that don't get frustrated. 100%. I actually believe there's people out there that don't get frustrated. There's a lot of things that frustrate a lot of people that don't frustrate me. And so I know that it exists to not get frustrated about things. But you've got to, apparently there's a lot more that I'm resisting than I thought, because I still do get frustrated. And so, and I would even say maybe it might only be in our relationship. Maybe. I don't know. That's interesting though. That'd be something I kind of want to unpack. Thank you for all watching this therapy session today. And listen, we're at the time now to be done, but expectations and frustration, learn to accept those things. And you do that through training and reps, training and practice. Training means learning, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know. Training means learning. Anyways,
learning and practicing.
Yep. And if you like what you see, share this. If you think this is good for other people, please share this. It's the only way that these kind of messages get out there and get run through the world. You might be really helping someone out if you do that. And we'd love it if you liked and subscribed to our channel. And other than that,
that's all I got.
Yeah,
no,
that's it.
Perfect.
I got nothing either. Yeah. My name is Gabe.
I'm Shey, and we really appreciate you joining us today.
Take care.